Hello there, and welcome to the Copy Cache Secrets, where I'll be touching on how to handle objections with your sales copy. No matter how great your product or services are, you may be stunned by the fact that no matter how persuasive your sales copy is, it would still fail to generate the desired response from your target audience. While there could be various reasons for this, what's often overlooked is addressing the objections driving through your prospect's mind. Even though the main target of your sales letter is to demonstrate how your product or service will solve a heated problem in a highly competitive environment, it's not enough to settle the deal. Once you've explained the problem, stirred the emotions of the reader, and provided the solution, you'll need to be able to tick off all the objections they may have to buying from you. While there could be potentially several reasons for your prospect to avoid making a purchase decision, generally, there are 5 most common ones you need to think about. There will be offshoots of these, but mostly they fall into these categories. There are times when you would receive this objection: I can get the same results on my own. This is due to the fact that you have not stated your core benefit clearly enough. Sounds simple, yes? But when you're focused on creating a list of features and benefits, you could forget to state your point in such a convincing way that readers shifted towards your purchase button. So how do you overcome it? At the early section of your sales presentation, you need to present your product or service and clearly state what people would gain when they use it. Never ever beat around the bush. It's best to make it as plain and simple as possible so there won't be any doubt about what you're selling. In a sales page, the product's always introduced first. The product name is usually given in the header, and the introduction talks about the content. After the introduction, a summary is put together that explains about the benefits of the product. If your product or service is complex or it provides various benefits, it's best to provide a summary. By providing a summary statement that acts as an elevator speech for your product or services, this helps people to grasp the full scope of what they're getting from it. From there, after you've described your product, provide the unique selling proposition, USP. To overcome the "I can do it myself" objection, make your benefits as big as you can without losing credibility. Unlike any other common objections, one of the most frustrating objections is, it doesn't cost enough. For marketers, one of the biggest challenges has always been the pricing, but there's always a way to generate sales. Whether if they're aware or not, people use the price of the product to establish its natural value. If the price is too high, they may think the product is too advanced or complex. But if the pricing's too low, they'll question your product quality standard to be probably low. So how do you overcome that? What you should do is emphasize the value of the product or the service, then the price. If you pile in the value of your product statements first instead of placing the price into perspective, this would create an impression to your prospects the value of purchasing the product. Before the price objection comes into your prospect's mind, it's the thought of, does it work? Usually, prospects would want proof that your product or service lives up to what you say it does. Tread carefully if your solution seems to be too easy or straightforward. People won't be sold to the idea that it works. If the solution is described in a complex manner, they would probably be more inclined to believe it works. They'll assume it would take too much time or effort. So how do you overcome it? Features and benefits is a good place for your kickstart. The more in-depth the information about your product or service is, the more credible it is to your readers. Throughout your sales copy, add in as many necessary details as possible. After you've provided your sales pitch, summarize all the details that your readers receive. You can finalize it with providing proof by adding in testimonials from satisfied customers. If you have them, use testimonials that address the objections you expect your visitors would voice. If you don't have them, spend some time gathering testimonials. You could try sending an email to customers asking them to share their opinions about your product or services. If your product's brand new, invite people to test out your product in return for their feedback. Moreover, if you have a relationship with an influence in your niche, ask for them to provide a review. A single testimonial from a renowned name may have the similar impact as several average users. Now moving on, there are readers that may be totally sold on how your product works. Your testimonials and benefit statements may have all done their part. There is a chance that your readers may have already purchased various similar products like yours with no success. The outcome is that they don't trust your product will ever work for them too. So the thought is, will it work for me? So how do you convince them that your product will work? If you have stories of people who had never ever achieved success until they tried your product, by all means use them. Excluding that, you need a solid guarantee that your visitor can test and try your product without a single risk. Make the best guarantee you can afford to make, and these doubters will be much more interested to respond. Now to the last objection in today's market, credibility is critical to shifting your prospects into motion. If your visitors have the thought of, "I've never heard of you before," they'll be suspicious. Their underlying belief is that if you are a valid business, they should have heard about you before. So how do you overcome it? Do not hide your name from hindsight. Be as transparent as possible. In the aspect of genuine openness, people would be more inclined to believe you. You could mix in with a biography giving more information about you, your achievements, and your reasoning for offering the product, and people will be more comfortable with you. Always include a profile picture. Seeing a face along with your name helps people feel they can actually trust you. This list of strategies to overcome objections we've provided are great ways for you to apply it to your sales copy. Prove every promise. Be transparent about your product or services and its benefits, and add in testimonials and credibility boosters. Most copywriters would put aside from directly addressing objections, thinking that they will be perceived as aggressive or pushy. But there's nothing that could be further from the truth. Objections begin streaming through your prospects' thoughts the moment they realize you're selling something. The usual case is they aren't even aware they're putting up an objection. By explaining the reason for that objection, you could catch them off guard. Your unique ability to read their minds, so to speak, can cause them to lower their guard and hear you without objection. There will always be a time where objections will come into play and you will have to overcome it. So make sure that you list every potential objection before you start writing your sales copy. If you're able to remove those doubts, you're closer to getting the sales that you've always wanted.